from Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive recorded live 15 February 2014. Episode 95. Can't win for losing. And here we are once again with another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive, and I am your ever-loving host, Rob Wade, and I am joined this week
with Robert Garza, the elusive.
Finally.
Yeah.
Good grief. So how did your MDA event go?
Actually, it was really, really good. Usually what they do is I assisted last year.
Right.
And it's actually a fundraiser for the track and field team for the Del Rio High School. I'm one of the judges that judges the tasting, the food. It's such a hard job.
Judge not.
Yeah.
Unless you be.
So this year they thought, well, that they wanted to do something different because of the track team is getting plenty of funding, I believe, and
right.
What they wanted to do is help one of the local kids, which was Cisco, the Cisco Soldiers type thing.
Yeah.
And so what they did was they went ahead and partnered with them, and instead they went ahead and got together with the MDA.
So what was the participation like?
It was a lot. When they first started the local backyard cook-off here, the local thing, it started out with like 5-6 teams, and then they've been doing it, but slowly it's been getting bigger and bigger. Last year they had 10 teams. This year they had 27, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
So the actual creator's goal, the guy who created the whole thing, his goal is to try to get 50 participants, 50 cooks, or 50 teams to go be cooking.
Goodness.
That's his goal. Well, he's almost there.
Nice.
So
nice.
It was a big jump from last year, and I don't know if the fact that they got involved with the MDA, a lot of it kind of brings more people out.
So I assume this was held at the stadium there.
It was being held at the fairgrounds. In the previous years, it's been in the parking lot of the mall, off to the side. Between where Ross
and
is,
just outgrew that, or
because of different things. Some of the participants like to kind of booze it up, and because it's a public area, it became a little problematic.
Nice.
Which the city actually didn't have a problem with it,
right?
But the thing is, they had to stop drinking at a certain time. Or should I say self-medicating at a certain time? Drinking sounds so nice. Horrible. They had to stop self-medicating at a certain time. And so here at the fairgrounds, the county doesn't really care as long as you don't make a ruckus.
Well, I was going to say, was there a security element for, like the sheriff's department? Or
Yes, yeah. They didn't have anybody per se just constantly camped out there, but they were doing the routine, drive-bys and making sure everything was, okay. Right. And everybody was respectful, and they didn't have any problems with that.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And I do believe last year, some of them had music on over there in the parking lot of the mall in like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
That probably upset a few people.
Yeah. Well,
at 3 o'clock in the morning, it would upset me.
Yeah. What was really cool is that there's really nobody around the mall area. It's all commercial property. But you do have the Motel 6 right there. Right. So I think they were getting complaints from there. Yeah.
We're on a long trip, and we do not need to be awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we'll leave the light on didn't mean we'll leave the light and music on, okay? So, yeah, there was some unhappy. Something like that happened. So
nice.
Well,
that's cool.
Yeah, no, but it was good. Big turnout. Got a little too much sun. But there was something. I guess there was something in the air or whatever. But on Sunday, that really kicked up my sinuses, and I've been battling them all week. And it's just horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, you try and do something nice, and then you That's an example of can't win for losing.
Yeah, there you go. It's perfect.
Trying to do, no good deed goes unpunished.
Sometimes, there's a price you pay.
That's right. Can't believe our newest addition, Vala, is staring at the screen.
Yeah, she's looking.
This is Vala for those who've not been. Let me bring the camera over here. Get you on the camera for the. There we go. Say hi to everybody. This.
Yeah.
Vala is our rescue, our adopted dog. I guess technically they all are, but this one we did not choose from a breeder. We rescued from a pet's wish, and she is quite the little spitfire, as you found out for the first time.
Yeah, she didn't know me. I walked in and I thought,
She's
okay,
like, who
wait a
is
minute.
this?
I was like, I know all the dogs, and even the other one, the other one that got adopted that you were fostering.
Yeah.
Even that one treated me with open arms.
Yeah.
This one was a little spitfire on me.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, she's a little spaz, but I was watching. Oh, I can't remember what it was now. Tara was fast asleep, and I was watching TV, and some animal noises came on the TV. It was where they were out in the woods or something like that, and all of a sudden she alerted, and she's looking hears the sounds, and it kept going, and then it was like, because of the way our surround sound system is, it finally was like it all came together. It was like right there, and so it drew her attention to the TV. So, and it's big on the screen, so she was just staring, and the head turned till finally the music overcame the noises. She was like, "Oh, that's not real."
Oh, okay.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. No, but she was a little. She was scoping me out when I first walked in. But there you go. It's perfect proof. Please don't show fear with these animals, or they will attack.
Yeah, that's right.
Just be cool. Just be cool. Yeah, the little ones are the more dangerous. That's when it bit Sandy, actually. She went jogging down Main Street towards Park Avenue. And she was not expecting anything. She saw this little Chihuahua dog come out.
Ninja.
Yeah, a little small little thing. I mean, literally, when I saw it, I thought, she goes, I got bit. She got bit by a dog in the back of her calf. And I thought, okay, well, show me the dog. She was right there. Look, you see it? It was a little Chihuahua. I mean, little tiny thing. But it jumped up and snapped at her when she walked by. So she wasn't expecting that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, this one actually I think has some Chihuahua in her, because her ears don't set right. And her nose is skinnier than a typical dachshund's if you look at her other ones. But she definitely got the coloring. And she got longer legs. She just pings all over the place. Mm-hmm. But it's so funny watching her play, 'cause she's all puppy. She's only about 10 months old. So, let's see. How was your Valentine's Day, dude?
It was good. Of course, I was working, which was pretty good.
Wait a minute, you were working on Valentine's?
Yeah, the school.
In the evening?
Oh, in the evening. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. No,
I worked during the day.
Oh no, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm still. I'm still mesmerized by all the candy I ate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so, Sandy walks in, of course, teacher, they give her all kinds of gifts.
Right.
She walked in with a bag, no kidding, like a big duffel bag. And I was like, where are the candies? She goes, check my bag out. It was loaded. It was like halfway full. Those like grocery Walmart bags, the canvas ones. Yeah, it was like halfway full. Man, I was digging through that thing today, and I was like finding all kinds of candy. Well, the evening was good. Right after work, I got off at 5, and Sandy was like, well, I want to go eat. And I told her, well, if we go eat, we're either going to have to make reservations somewhere, or we're going to have to go super early, because it's going to be super packed. So I got off at 5, and I took clothes, I changed at work, and just went. My son and her wanted to go to Applebee's.
Right.
Well.
Busy.
Yeah, at 5 o'clock, it was there was already a little bit of a wait. She actually got there before I did, so she got a table ahead of time.
Nice.
But not even 20 minutes. I mean, it took a while to get our food, but about 20 minutes, I look over and the line's already outside. It's already outside into the mall, people waiting.
Right.
But no, we had it was good. The thing was, service was lagging because
Applebee's.
Because it was actually busy.
Yeah.
I ordered a steak medium well. It came like medium bloody.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very undercooked. I actually had to cut a big portion of it off because I couldn't eat it. It was just
Yeah, I'd have to hurl. I like mine snap. If you can snap it over in half over your knee, it's ready.
Oh, okay, you like it well done, well done.
Yes, I do.
No, I don't mind a little pink, even just a little bit of blood, but this thing was like still moving and stuff, you know.
They walked it through a warm kitchen.
Yeah, that's all they did. It just got a little brown. That's all.
Wow.
But no, it was tolerable. It was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
snake it's not gonna gross me out.
Right.
But I would have preferred it a little more cooked.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was good. It was good. And then we just walked around the mall a little bit. Just kind of looked at some stuff that I kind of want to get, later.
Yeah.
And that's it. Went home. Yeah.
Cool. We our church sponsored a Valentine's dinner at Ramada.
Yeah, I saw the posting.
Oh yeah. Well, we had a good time. Fairly well attended. I imagine a lot of folks planned on being out of town, for the weekend, especially if they're military, because we got President's Day coming up, so it's a 3-day weekend for us federal types. So a lot of folks out of town, but good food. Unfortunately, it was in one of the ballrooms there in the newer addition to the Ramada, and the problem with that was the fact that we were in ballroom 3, and in ballroom 2 on the other side of the very thin partition was a wedding party. And so once things got really going, we're trying to have a nice dinner and have a little bit of fun, but most of our folks are not a rowdy crowd. But the wedding party was there, all this disco music and just blaring. It was hard to even talk. And we had a microphone and sound system in there, and still had a hard time hearing what was going on. But it was fun. Food was good, and there's little games to play, couples type games and that kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun. Trying to get my camera refocused here. We had a slight delay tonight because I took a chance trying to get version 2 of the software for those who've been following the saga of XSplit. And it actually started, and I was so shocked. So I was loading everything up, getting all the prep done, and realized that in trying to follow all the recommendations that the developers were giving me on how to get the newer version of the software to work properly, I had not reinstalled a piece of software, so I reinstalled it. It was a small piece of software, but it happened to be one of those that unfortunately requires a reboot for it to work after that. So I rebooted the machine. Couldn't start the new software again. I was like, So quickly had to jump back to the older version, which thankfully was there and was not a lot of legwork to catch it back up. But nonetheless, that was the case. So I've been in contact with a couple of different streaming, podcasting software companies, developers, who are in beta testing of their respective softwares. And one of them looks very, very promising and actually has, I think, a better interface, but it doesn't have a number of the features that XSplit does for the price. Okay. So to get a lot of these features, you have to spend $400 to $500 for the software of the well-knowns like Vid Blaster and some of these others. And I'm sorry, they're just too limited. Even though you get those features, you only get like 10 applications or 4 applications of those features. So for instance, where with this software, and I know I'm giving you some inside baseball stuff here, some into the weeds stuff. This software, XSplit, lets you have 12 scenes, or what some softwares call modules. And basically it's how you go from a scene. What are you chewing my hand for? A scene is like when you see the splash screen when we first start podcasting. That's a scene. And then I simply click on the intro scene, and that shows you the introduction that you're all used to seeing. And then it switches to the episode header, which is a scene. And then we have 3 scenes for our cameras. We have 3 cameras here. So we have our full shot, which you're watching now. And if you want to look at Scuba Bob's beautiful face, we have a scene for him. And then, of course, me. And then we have additional ones that we use for our tag at the end.
Right.
We're going to slideshow, which we're going to have a little bit later in the podcast. And also one for the screen region. So when we want to show you something that's like on YouTube or some Internet Explorer thing, we can bring that in as a scene. If we were loading up Skype, we could bring Skype in as a scene. So there's a lot of versatility in this software, but when it don't work horribly. So here I am still. I can only get consistent performance out of this 1.3 version. It's not even the latest 1.3 version. There were like 4 revisions after the one that we're using right now that don't work.
Wow.
In my configuration. So it's frustrating.
Do they have any idea as to what's
No,
causing
and I'm
it?
not the only person who's run into it, because as I started posting more details, and I ran some a program called Debug Viewer that lets you actually watch what an application that you start right after it is doing behind the scenes. It shows you all the service calls and API calls and libraries it loads. That it shows you all of those steps, and then you can save that as a text file, and you send that to the developers, and they look at it, and they're like, "Whoa, we don't understand what's going on." And I keep telling them, I don't pretend to know all the intricacies of how you develop the software. I can tell you that I verified that it's something that you changed from this specific revision to the one immediately after that. So there's a feature there's something in the coding that they changed from this revision to the next, and it's been promulgated in every subsequent version, including version 2. That it's apparently affected. It apparently has to do with how the software connects with the streaming service and logs in. So, because what I was able to find is way getting into the weeds, but if I brought up the machine minus a lot of the networking, but only left the wireless networking, the software will start up. It will just give me errors saying that in order to do certain things, you must have the internet, and it doesn't recognize the Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Wi-Fi works, but the wired doesn't work. But it lets, because I don't start that service, and I listed exactly how I booted the machine. If it doesn't start that service, then the software runs. So that tells me it is something to do with the way that version and all versions forward dealt with looking at the network for login purposes, because it never gets to that point. It never gets to the point of actually logging in.
Okay.
So it's definitely a networking issue. And since for those who followed the debacle of my Time Warner adventure, I am now running a 60 gigabit down or 60 megabit down and 5 megabit up. I've got a fat pipe of network going here. So I'm not lacking for speed. It's awesome.
It's kind of, what surprises me is that they're releasing all these updates, pushing them out, try that, for this. And obviously they're making changes and of course they're all for good, they're all, good changes, but they don't test it like it's going to mess something else up or, do something else. But,
or at least, take what I think I've bent over backwards, especially wiping my entire computer to get a pristine Windows 8.1 to do this. But I've done everything that the developers have asked me to do, given them as much information, probably more than they get from most people.
I'm wondering though, have you actually asked the developers what type of machine are they actually testing this stuff on?
You can go. The neat thing is you can go on their website and see. And it's not tremendously different from mine.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a different make of motherboard, but they're using the same processor and same amount of memory.
Are they using the same operating system?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of
for a while, I was, a number of us had already moved to 8 and 8.1 while they were still on 7 and developing. And so we became kind of the beta testers for issues that they might run into, versus, dealing with the Windows 8 environment. And so quickly within a couple of months, they'd upgraded their machines to Windows 8, and now they're at 8.1. So they're running the same version of the OS. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to get to.
Of course, we got update 1 coming out here in a couple of months for Windows 8. So who knows? That may do something that either unbreaks their changes or just makes it even worse. I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
I tell you, the wonderful life of technology.
Yeah.
Just never know.
Yep, you never know. Can't win for losing.
There you go.
So, see any good movies?
The last movie that I saw was...
The Abyss.
Yeah, The Abyss.
I was just watching that earlier.
What was it? Jeez, I forgot.
Was it a kid show or a real movie?
No, it was a real movie.
All right. I, Frankenstein?
There you go.
Did you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I gave my review last week. So we will allow you the opportunity to give your impressions. Yes.
Please excuse my coughing. My allergies are actually acting up and making my throat very scratchy and itchy. Well, I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Were your expectations high or low going in? Mine were low.
Mine were, I would say medium, because when I saw the previews, it was a movie that I thought, it looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to see it. And then one of my coworkers was like, hey, what are you doing this evening? And I was like, nothing. Well, let's go to the movies.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, what do you want to see? And he told me that the movie was here. And I was like, oh, it's here. Well, sure, let's go. We went and it was let me see. It started out pretty good. It had a good context, and then of course it had to do with way different, because they had done that Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, made his creation or whatever. But what I liked about it, it kind of had a little bit of the religion thing attached to it.
Yeah, I made a point about that too.
I really like that, where the gargoyles were actually watching
angels.
over us. Yeah, watching over us.
Like, okay, that's not scriptural, but it was a nice little twist.
It was cool that they're out there watching us. So when evil comes in, they come to life and they try to protect you. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Now I don't know why, but I fell asleep.
Really?
Yeah, I fell asleep for about maybe 2 minutes or something.
What part was it? Do you remember?
It was like right in the middle of the movie. It kind of started dragging a little bit.
Was it after Dr. Tara Wade, by the way?
Dr. Tara Wade?
Yeah. Was it at the point where she started figuring things out, or was it before was it before Frankenstein even was brought in?
No. It was actually during the time when she's kind of started figuring things out. It was when they were in the motel room, I think it was.
Okay.
I don't know what happened, but I kind of like caught myself, and I was like, wow. And my friend was like, he's the one that actually woke me up. Said, hey man, are you asleep? And I was like, no, of course not. And I go, what did I miss? And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, I know you were asleep. You were snoring.
Oh no! Yeah. No.
So I missed about 2 minutes 2 to 3 minutes of the movie, but that little 2 minute was a good power nap. So I did catch the end of the movie. But it was good.
Nice.
But I'd have to rate it maybe I would have rated it maybe a 7.
Okay. Yeah. I would agree. I would agree with that.
I would say about a 7. It was just a little bit better because I actually liked some of the way that they incorporated some of the things, one of the religious things and stuff like that. But in the video was pretty cool in 3D. It looked cool, but
what's his face just can't get away from playing that type of character.
Oh because he plays Bill Nunley.
Yeah, he plays the same kind of character in the underworld.
And
series of movies.
his bodyguard, the black fellow, he
was on.
He comes out in the Underworld movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And his voice, actually, the way he talks, that's his actual.
That wrong voice.
That's actually his real voice.
Really?
Yeah, that's his real voice.
Wow.
It's a very, very deep.
Yikes.
He always plays a Lycan in the Underworld movies.
Like it or not.
Like it or not, yeah. But I would have rated it. I gave it a 7, and that's
Okay.
it put me to sleep.
Yeah,
So I rated it a little higher.
I would agree. The 7's good. We were able to. We finished up our little Valentine's dinner just early enough last night to scoot on over to catch Robocop.
Oh, I wanted to go see, and I told a friend of mine, let's go see. And he goes, it's Valentine's Day. I'm like, it's okay. The wives are asleep. Let's just go.
And, wow.
No.
Yeah, we went to the 10:05 showing.
Yeah,
so
and I wanted to go, but
after.
by the time I called him, it was 9:45. I figured it's too late.
Yeah, and actually, there was almost nobody in the theater.
Really?
Yes.
I would have thought the line was going to be long.
Yep. There was maybe 10 of us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you'd have had no problem. I was really shocked when we walked in. I thought we're going to be sitting right up front looking nose up to the screen. No. Choice of seats, man.
Oh, wow.
I liked it.
Really?
I liked it as much as the original.
Oh,
of course, the original was of the same vein as like the original Total Recall and Judge Dredd, and so there a little bit of cheese, the original RoboCop, but there were quite a few changes in the storyline from this, and whereas in the original, other than in flashbacks, you really didn't see the wife and the kid. They figure prominently in the new version.
Wow.
Yeah, very prominently. A little bit unbelievably as far as I'm like, well, where'd they? I wouldn't have expected the family relationship to have survived, but it created a nice conflict in the show, and girlfriend had some serious. Had a serious spine. It was pretty cool.
Oh.
You hate Michael Keaton in this movie.
Oh, really?
You really do. Let's see.
Well, he plays from the original ones. He play what's his name? Bob.
Yeah, he plays that character.
Yeah, that guy who blows up.
Sellers.
Yeah, there you go.
The interestingly though, the final showdown isn't between those two. Matter of fact, it's kind of anticlimactic. It's one of the guys that works for him that becomes the final showdown, and it's kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
And it's one of those you're like, yeah. You get the revenge bit, which is pretty cool. Definitely don't want to bring your kids to this.
No, okay.
There are a couple of scenes that are when we see what's left of Murphy that are definitely not for kids. Definitely not. I mean, in fact, I was almost grossed out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is really disturbing. And you can just imagine how it would have been for him seeing it. So
yeah.
Effects were great. Not tremendous departure from as far as the body armor from the original. I mean, it's basically the same thing, just some details that look different.
One thing that I saw pictures of is the suit's a little darker than the original one.
Well, interesting bit there. He starts out with the recognizable silver with the but then when they want him to basically go to work, he wants him in the black. But then later he gets a new suit and it's back to the silver.
Oh, okay.
So you get to see full circle there. A lot of bit about the gun, the guns, but whereas in the original there was a specific type of gun that was the big deal, This one is not really played up. It's just that there's these illegal guns that were taken from basically evidence lockers.
Are you referring to like the military weapon that they got to try to kill him?
Yeah.
At the end, towards the end of the original one.
That's not really in there. A signature line from the original movie is used, but not in the same way in this movie. Very much like how in the remake of Planet of the Apes, you had Charlton Heston, who was playing the dying patriarch ape, and he said, "Get your paws off me, or you dirty human," which was a twist on the original line that he used. And a similar thing is done with a signature line in the in the movie. You're like, and everybody, all 10 of us, were like, yeah.
Okay.
And so you'll go, okay, they had to throw that in there. And I actually had said to somebody, I said, they have to have that line in there somewhere. And so they did it, but it was a twist on it. So, but yeah, I liked it as good. I liked it as good as the original.
Okay, well then now I'm definitely going to have to catch up. So
yeah.
I definitely will catch it between now and next week. Next week, I'm hoping, God willing.
What's going on next week?
Well, so that I can give you my my eval on it.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So, what would you rate it?
I would rate it I'd rate it a 9.
Wow, that's high on the weight scale.
Yeah, I rated it a 9 because the language wasn't too bad. A little bit here and there. The language wasn't too bad, and it for being a reboot, it was not a bad reboot at all.
Oh, okay.
You know, it wasn't dramatically different where you go, that's not even the same movie.
You know, I know you had, and it was a huge different change, like from the Judge Dredd.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You go to the first one, and it was cool. It was really neat because, of course, it's Sylvester Stallone. The remake of Judge Dredd was more like now.
Yeah.
Like how things are or will probably be in the near future. God,
yeah,
that would be horrible. But, you know, it was more violent, more to me that seemed more realistic.
Yeah.
So I kind of actually liked the remake more than the original one. Now Total Recall, I kind of like them both.
That was a pretty dramatic change too.
Yeah, it was. But I kind of liked really what made the movie was just the fight chase between Kate Beckinsale and Carl Hauser. That was and then, of course, the other girl got involved, Jessica Biel, and they were just fighting, like, all the time, you know? That was pretty cool, the fight scenes. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing this one now. Wow, you gave it a 9.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay, so hopefully I'll see it, and next week we'll be able to
share it. Okay.
Share it, definitely.
Cool. Speaking of sharing, interestingly, Microsoft... you have to wonder if they planned
Here we go.
You have to wonder if they planned this, or they really were stupid enough to believe that a non-disclosure agreement would be 100% followed by the developers, that they sent out the software development kit for Windows Phone 8.1. Because this whole week, leaks have been, it's like the flipping Titanic. The leaks coming out from various developers on screenshots and features for Windows Phone 8.1, which, I've been excited to see about. And initially I got really excited for, because all the things that they're really doing to start bringing the ecosystems together. But as they started revealing more things, I started getting more frustrated, and now I'm not entirely sure I will even update to it.
What? Oh my! Oh, okay. Now, the cold front is coming, folks.
Yeah. Well, I like Windows Phone as it is because of the certain features that it already has, but certain things that it kind of locks down and kind of makes it virtually impossible to screw it up, because that's my problem with most other systems is people just make them nasty.
Yeah.
The reason why I stopped using Windows Mobile was, I started with Pocket PC, went to Windows Mobile, and eventually got to a point where this is, in order to do stuff with it, you have to load all these different front ends. It's like an Android. You had to throw all these widgets on there to do it. I was like, I don't want a system that is that messy. Mm-hmm. And then you could pick up somebody else's and not have a clue how to use it.
Right.
And I'm like, no, that's a foul. I like that I can grab my wife's phone and I can, even though she has her own customizations, it's not so off the charts that I can't navigate it. So, one of the things that and today somebody created a bullet list of about 50 different major things that are being added or changed in the OS. But one feature that I've gotten that I really rely on a lot is the multi-share capability. In Windows Phone, you have these live tiles, and one in particular is the Me tile, and it aggregates a lot of stuff. You can see all these notifications from various social networks there. You can check, you can zoom, you can drill into the latest photos that people have uploaded. It's so easy to interact with all your social life through the Me tile and how everything comes to you. The one most important feature to me is the fact that I can shotgun a post across multiple social networks at the same time.
Okay, so that's how you do the Facebook, the Twitter,
yes.
and everything else.
I love that feature.
Yeah.
I have come and I use it many times during the day. Gone in 8.1 because they're giving up the hub concept, which I thought was one of the most brilliant features of Windows Phone, in favor because they say they're giving that up or at least de-emphasizing it because they say that it requires them to put out a new update to the operating system itself if they make a change to any of those social integration bits.
Okay.
Whereas if it's a separate app, then you can just get a new version of the app. I'm like, but I don't want to have, I like not having to have a Facebook app and a Twitter app, and I like not requiring to have that.
Yeah.
That I can simply do what I need to do. Well, now, if, and of course their response was, well, all you have to do is, if you send something in Twitter, just copy and paste it into, I'm like, I don't want to copy and paste it. That's wasted time for me. I want to write it once, shotgun it out. What they should have been doing, in my opinion, is working out a way that that allows developers to plug their APIs into this integration. So all you have to do is in your settings, when you're looking at all the different accounts that you can add, you add their account, and then you choose whether you want that to integrate with your multi-share capability.
Right.
That's where they should have gone, and they should have added it to the actual Windows 8. But what looks like happening is rather than taking the more mature operating system that's in Windows Phone, as far as the whole Metro idea, they're de-emphasizing that in favor of the less mature, less featureful Windows 8 Metro implementation and dragging that in. I was like, that's the wrong direction. They need to be taking all the enhancements that they really got right in Windows Phone and integrating that into Windows 8 on the tablet and the desktop. Mm-hmm. But that's not what they're doing. And so it's frustrating me. A number of the features that they're adding are what people who are used to iPhone and Android devices whine about all the time. And there are things that I'm like, why do you want that feature? It just creates waste. And I'm all about efficiency, and they're creating, now it's turning into, I'm afraid that Windows Phone is turning into a bloated system because they're trying to mimic the quote unquote customization of like the Android. I'm like, there's a reason why I got away from all that.
And we've talked about this, one of the things that, I mean, yes, I always dog Windows, and any chance I get, I dog it. But, of course, it's the platform that's most noted because it's out there. Everybody uses it. Everybody knows it. Now, when you go on, like, for example, Mac, I mean, that thing is so locked down. It's hard to use any of it But it's locked down for a reason because they don't want you to change it. They don't want things done to it. So
and you do not hear about viruses very much at all, on Macintosh.
And I will defend this as far as Windows is concerned, because you better play me back saying this because
you'll never repeat it.
Yeah, I'm never gonna repeat it. But the fact is, yes, they're not as susceptible to viruses. You don't hear about it as often. But then again, if you look at the number of PCs that are out there as opposed to Macs, there's more PCs out there. So
bigger target.
The bigger target, exactly. But because everything is so customizable to make it, like this. So if you look at a Mac, it's like bland, it's just there. Of course, you go to a Windows machine and they have all these things. Well, you know what? In order to make all those things happen, sometimes you got to change things and do things, and you got to open things up, and that leaves you susceptible to attacks.
Well, that's right. Android has got a huge problem with hacking and stuff like that.
So, but that's if you look at, well, there's more viruses for PCs. Well, that's because there's more of them out there. That's just the realistic, out there. So yeah, there's more viruses attacking PCs because there's more of them out there. So.
I'm gonna wait and see, because the big thing for me, and it's not revealed some bits of it are revealed in the software developer kit, but my big thing is Cortana, the new AI, and what they're supposedly going to be doing with that is really, really remarkable. They basically are taking what was good about the current voice system, which is very fast and convenient. And then taking the best aspects of both Siri and the Now voice system, and then stepping it up into really making it globally aware is the best way I can describe it. And I'm like, okay. I mean, they've got these new concepts like what they call it, geofencing. I was like, okay, I need to understand more about what that is. And basically, it's the awareness of even apps to peg where you're at. And so, and it occurs to me, this must be like in those Total Recall and some of those others where as you walk by something, it recognizes you. Mm-hmm. It says, hey, Scuba Bob, step right in here. Yeah. We have this brand new wetsuit that you'd be interested in, and it tailors it to you because you have come into range of it, and it knows about you.
Well, it's
those kinds of things. I think that's what the geofencing is all about.
Well, it's kind of like those. Remember when they first came out with Bill Gates about those paintings that change to your mood and stuff?
Oh yeah.
It's supposedly supposed to recognize the person or whatever.
Right.
And it changes the landscape of the photo.
It'd always be showing sci-fi every time I walk by.
It'll be showing sci-fi. For me to walk in, it's going to be Star Trek, But, supposedly it was something around that. And I remember somebody saying something about that. So, yeah, that's kind of pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually surprised to hear you say you're not going to do an update.
I didn't say I wasn't. I said I'm thinking very hard about not doing it because I need to see more about what some of these features are. And I won't go into the weeds. I won't go into the long list. But I did respond to somebody's post, who the blog or the tech site that listed all the things that they currently know from this SDK about 8.1. And easily a third of the features are things that absolutely interest me in no way, shape, or form. And there's a third of them that I think are actually regressing the OS to what I hated about Windows Mobile.
Yeah.
And then a third of them are things that, yes, the VPN is going to be there. Yeah. Encrypted emails, signed emails are going to be there. The ability, a lot of enterprise type stuff where, like that we would use in Department of Defense, where when it becomes an enterprise machine, they can remotely lock it down or wipe it. Mm-hmm. All of those security features, those are going to be part of it. So, and those are the things that are already in Windows 8.1 that I think that's the part that's moving over into Windows Phone. So for the corporate world, for the government user, I think now there's nothing that stops them from ditching the BlackBerries, which I was just talking this week, as a matter of fact, because I do the IT management for our squadron at the base, and I just constantly hear the complaints about this dadgum BlackBerry. I mean, they just want to throw it against the wall, and in some cases, it looks like they have.
Yeah, I saw one. We were where were we? Gosh, I was somewhere. I was eating at Church's Chicken with a colleague for lunch, and there was a guy next to me. He pulls out his the guy sitting across from him. He was a little bit younger, so he pulled out a phablet. He had the Note 3. You could tell that thing. It was the size of your laptop. And so he's like that, and he's trying to make a phone call, hold it with two hands. Right. And then this guy's just talking, and he's eating his, little chicken. And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, right? And he pulls out this beat down BlackBerry, man. That thing looked like antique. Seriously. I mean, that thing looked like it had some mileage on it.
Wow.
It looked like a beat down 57 Chevy.
Wow.
But he was still talking on it. I guess it still worked, but and that thing,
they are nasty, and they're always losing connection. Where I get the most common thing I get, I'm not receiving emails. So we end up having to basically wipe the machine and reprovision it. So I end up contacting the enterprise service desk for Air Force and go through the steps of redoing them, basically reprovisioning it to the network, and they have to re-register it with one of the BlackBerry servers. And I'm like, how about a device that just logs in like any other device on the network? You register it the same way you join the domain, just like you do with anything else, and it just talks to the Exchange servers. How about that? Well, of course, the one thing that was stopping is you couldn't encrypt. And oh, by the way, it's also the 8.1 update is apparently adding what they call virtual smart card. I'm like, okay, in DoD we have our common access cards. It's a smart card. It's got a chip in it and all that stuff. And there is an actual attachment that you can get for the BlackBerries that lets you slide your card in. So it reads it and you unlock it that way. I'm trying to figure out, I've not heard of the virtual smart card support. So
it's because, you're supposed to think that it's there when it's really not there.
I'm like, how do you get away with that? I mean, that would make it very convenient because then you wouldn't have to memorize an actual password. You just have to do your PIN.
But I remember BlackBerries were the talk of the day. I had one. Worked okay. Took me a while to get used to the little keyboard. For the texting.
I hate that thing.
But once you do get used to it, because when you have no choice, you own the phone, you gotta use it.
Right.
I actually got pretty darn good at it. But then when I got rid of it and moved to my
iPhone.
Yeah, actually, that's what I did. I got rid of the my BlackBerry for the iPhone.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing, except my fingers were a little fatter.
Yeah.
So I kept hitting the button next to it. So it just took a little more readjusting to it. But yeah, it was okay. But I remember when I first gave it up, I kind of missed some of the features on it. The email feature to me was good.
Yeah.
But then when I switched over, I really liked that I could set up, because I have three different. I have MSN, I have Google, and I have Yahoo.
Yeah.
Well, I could set up all three of them in my iPhone.
Yeah.
And it would just light up that I had a message, so I would click on it, and it would tell me this is Yahoo Mail, or it would tell me it was from my Gmail. So it was cool.
Yeah.
But now I got tired of all of that, so now I just have one I'll set up on my phone.
Yeah.
But wow, BlackBerries. Ooh.
Yeah. Speaking of keyboards, apparently it is adding well, they can't call it swipe, but it is virtually swipeable input. And I've tried to use swipe. I cannot get the hang of it.
No.
I'm just like, just give me the keyboard. Matter of fact, and this is part of what I hope Cortana is really going to expand a lot more on, is I love being able to just simply say, text Tara, and then it says, speak your message, and then I just recite what I want, and then say send, and it's gone. I like not having to touch the darn thing just to send text messages. But
well, I do that now with my phone.
Yeah. I mean, but see, I've even from Windows Phone 7, I got used to that. And
Yeah.
so that's just the easiest way for me to do, especially if you're driving. That's faster to me than trying to swipe your finger across.
Oh, yeah, no.
And,
you know, one of the things that I've been actually using probably within the last 2 weeks is my little earpiece, my earbuds.
I love my Jawbone. I got my Jawbone Era. I love it.
Well, I use the actual connected one, my little, the ones that came with my phone. But the thing is because they are, they're at work. They're actually bitching about me being on the phone so much. Well, the police officers, we communicate a lot. We use our actual phones for businesses.
Right.
And, of course, you know, we do get our personal phone calls. But the actual principal, the actual administrator of the campus has her own little personal deal saying, you know what, I don't want to see phones. Wow. Well, that applies to the teachers, but since we're on campus, she says that it looks bad that we're always on our phone because we need to set the example. Well, which is fine, not a problem. Yeah. So what I'm doing is so that they don't see me actually, you know, with my phone in my hand, I actually just put my little earbud in.
Yep.
And I'll check my messages from there. I'll say, you know, check messages. You have no new messages.
Yeah.
Or if I say, you know, text, you know, whatever, and then it'll ask me, okay, I can text. Absolutely, I can text Rob Wade. What would you want your message to be? And then I'll speak the message.
It's very convenient.
And it reads it back. So I've just gotten used to it to where I just have that thing. But, I think I'm going to go to a Bluetooth one. I
love them, I tell you. And I cannot recommend the Jawbone series of Bluetooth headsets highly enough. I love them. Matter of fact, they have a new version of the Era that's actually even lighter and smaller.
Oh wow!
They dropped one feature that I kind of liked. It has a potential. The version I have has the not the gyroscope, the accelerometer in it, and so you can just simply double tap on it to answer.
Oh wow! Okay.
Well, and it does have a button because you can program it and you can load software to it.
Oh wow! Cool.
So. Go to the website and you'll see the different things you can do with it. But I like being able to simply, once I hear it ring and it says, you have a phone call from Tara. And because you can load different personalities. You can load different personalities.
Yeah.
So I just double tap on it and answer it. Or I can press and hold while it's playing music and it will change the volume up or down on there.
Right.
Or I can press it twice and it activates the voice capability on the phone. And the quality of the sound is absolutely gorgeous. It's just so high quality. They're kind of pricey, but they're just so worth it to me. If you really want a good earpiece that has solid performance, the Jawbone are awesome. And Tara's got one. I got her for her birthday or Christmas. One of those little the jam box, jam box.
Those things sound
awesome.
It is. Yeah, those things got some bass to them.
It really, for being so tiny, is like, man, you guys work with Bose or something?
Well, you know, funny you mentioned that. Just before the Christmas break, we were I was coming from behind the band hall there at the campus, the high school, and I heard some music playing, and man, I could hear the bass to it, and I thought, it's got to be somebody in a car.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, who in the hell's parked back here? You know, I mean, somebody's back here. So I went around the corner, and no, it was actually a kid who was eating his lunch outside, and he had his backpack, and the music was emanating from his backpack. So I walked up to him, and I go, hey, what do you got? And he pulls out a little, it was the Bose, not the Bose, the Beats pill.
Yeah.
It's the pill. Man, that thing that thing sounded awesome. But, of course, you know, it's $200 or $300. But
Tara's mini jam box, and you can customize the colors on it. The combination of colors on it was $130.
Yeah, this one
and it's Bluetooth. I mean, you can plug into it, but it's also Bluetooth, and so you can do the personalities with it and everything. Yeah. So it's just very cool.
So, but yeah, he was like, "Oh, I use this thing for everything." I was like, "Man, that thing sounds awesome." And then I did some research and saw how expensive they were. Yeah. And I was like, he must be a spoiled kid.
No kidding. He's gonna be the next person we see busted for something, you know, and get off because of affluenza.
Yeah, there you go. Affluenza.
Yeah.
I like that.
So anyway, you know, just when I thought I was gonna, get a big win with seeing some really awesome features with Windows Phone.
Yeah.
I was like I said, can't win for losing. I was like, good grief, I'm losing features that I've come to depend on.
And when I saw your tweet, I was actually like, what? And I was like, so then I went into it and I started kind of looking up, and to me, when I read about that, and I started reading a lot actually about with the new CEO of Microsoft, a lot of the things that were done when Ballmer was there is actually like now null and void because there's a new CEO and he has a right. In other words, to any deals that were made under the old CEO are actually now, like if he wants, he can just say, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And it's gone. They're not obligated to anything.
Yeah.
So,
but what I did read is he's pretty much doubling down on the whole integration thing.
Yeah. So he's
going to approach it a little differently than it's just what we're seeing now is what was already in the pipe based on what Steve did.
Yeah. So this guy is actually about the whole integration thing, like you mentioned, and he kind of has an idea where it needs to go, and I think they're going to go in the right direction with that.
Yeah.
But I was actually looking at your tweet, and then I started looking at some of the stuff and kind of reading about like what's he talking about, and I saw it, and I actually like, man, I told you it was kind of sort of coming, and I knew it. For some reason, God, they get something working really good, and they have a great shot at it, and they just trip themselves up with it all the time.
Yeah.
That's
Somebody posted, I think it was probably Paul Thurrott. And lately I've not agreed with him very much, but he did make a good point. But unfortunately, he was making a good point from the opposite point of view. Microsoft has made a history of trying to please everybody. They need to just stop trying to please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But from his perspective, it looks like he's advocating they just stop trying to please everybody and just focus on the business folks and just kind of go back to just make a better Windows 7. Even though really Windows 8 is a bit better Windows 7, you have more capability than you have with Windows 7. But because they've created a Frankenstein, especially with some of the Update 1 stuff, they're bleeding over some of the desktop stuff onto the Metro. And it looks horrible when you right-click now on the Metro side, and you see nasty pop-up menus like you saw over on the desktop. I'm like, no. Why are you doing that? Because apparently the big issue is they and I keep getting frustrated by this. They keep saying, "Oh, well, we need to. We're hearing that we need to make things better for those who don't have a touch interface." I'm like, "What is wrong with it? It works great with a keyboard and mouse. Just because you have a bunch of lame brain idiots out there who are incapable of you're going to be okay there."
Yeah, I know it's my allergies.
Just because you have a bunch of simpletons out there who can't understand the concept of how to use a keyboard and mouse on the Metro environment, I find it very easy. Very fluid.
This is my body telling me not to make a comment about this. No, I just get that scratchy.
I know. I hate that feeling.
Oh gosh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Though you guys at home, it's the allergies.
Yes. So anyway, the jury's out. We'll see what happens over the next couple of months, is when all this is gonna come down.
Well,
so we'll see.
I'm sure if. Oh God, I'm sorry. I hate these sudden cough attacks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure if there's something that disappoints you, I'll be reading about it somewhere. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, wait. You're not going to be able to post that because that feature's gone. So
no, I'll just have to do it multiple times across all the things that I post on. So, okay. I got the latest version of the latest edition of Alert Diver. Let me switch cameras here. Alert Diver. It's a great. If you are a member of Divers Alert Network, Dan, which we highly encourage you to, you also get a subscription to Alert Diver, and it's a great magazine. It's a great companion to their website, which is a wonderful resource for all things dive related, especially in the physiology, understanding the science of diving. And then they have a lot of great stories telling about different accidents. They give you good reports on very, very good detailed statistics and that kind of thing. And something that I hadn't heard of before is they have done some studies worldwide and discovered that sunscreen, your common sunscreen that people use now, is linked to coral bleaching. So coral bleaching, for those who are not aware, if you're not a diver, you've never heard of this. If you're a diver, more than likely you've heard of it. If you've not heard of it, you've seen it and simply not recognized it for what it is. Coral bleaching is where the colorful coral that you see literally goes white or like a tan color. Basically, all the color goes out of it. How coral gets its color is algae, various algae which have various tints to them because of how they process, how they photosynthesize. They literally live within the tissue of the coral, which is a living organism. Coral is, you think there's soft coral and there's hard coral, but all of it is a living organism or a living multiple organism. And algae actually lives within the tissue, and they photosynthesize the sunlight, and then they get ammonia from ammonium from the coral, and then they produce sugars and other nutrients that the coral feeds off of. So there's a symbiotic relationship. And so the various types and combinations create the colorization that you see in the coral. Well, what happens, bleaching occurs when something happens to the algae where it makes it not acceptable to the coral, and the coral, either the algae dies off or the coral simply expel it. They reject the algae. So then what happens is when the algae are either dead or are expelled from the tissue, there's that symbiotic relationship is broken, and so the coral dies almost immediately.
Wow.
Yeah. So what they discovered is that the sunscreen that we typically use, even a drop of it, a single drop, coming in contact with coral begins to kill it immediately.
Wow.
Within 48 hours, you start seeing it to all die off. And according to the study, 30% of your typical sunscreen is released into the water within seconds of you entering the water.
What's the point of even wearing it then?
Right. Well, it does still leave 60% of it on your body, but some of that obviously is going to be released over time as you're, especially if you're not wearing a full wetsuit. If you're wearing, the most common is the 3 mil shorty. So that means a lot of your exposed body, we do this.
Right.
We're sitting there and we're spraying ourselves up with that stuff on the shore, on the boat, and then you go out there and you hit the water. So they've discovered that it is so absolutely detrimental to the life of coral that, and even and you have to be careful because even the coral, even the if you find someplace selling sunscreen that is quote unquote safe for seawater or salt water, it's not necessarily safe. In fact, you're gonna be all right.
Oh God, yeah, I'm sorry.
In fact, and I did have, unfortunately, on the on version 2 of our XSplit software, I did have all these up, but I'm going to have to read them off for you.
Version 2.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it, because it was like, I'm like, man, this is a science lesson here. Find the sunscreen report here. Equalization.
The magazine that the Divers Alert gives out, which is the one that Rob's pulling this
awesome.
information. It has a lot of information on it. Of course, you have to be a member of Dan in order to get it, but if you are a diver, and,
it is so worth it.
Don't feel like, I don't need this or I don't need that. It's a small fee for a year. I think it's $35 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because mine automatically just renews. They just take it out of my bank.
Exactly.
But yeah, the magazines are very insightful. They do have a lot of information. So if you are a diver out there, I do recommend that you become a member of Dan. Of course, I'm not getting paid. We don't get paid to advertise for these people.
We have no sponsors. Right?
We have no sponsors. But, as a responsible diver, you can obtain a lot of information off this.
Can.
And share it. Definitely.
So what you want to look for is if you're wanting to actually get less hazardous sunscreen, you want to make sure that it does not have. First thing you want to look for is the article says is you want to look for the presence of preservatives, and a common one that is dangerous to coral is called a paraben, Paraben, or they call parabens. So, and evidently it's a pretty common preservative. So, like butyl paraben. So look for those as preservatives. If you see those in there in the ingredients, nix it. Also, if you see the following chemical filters, and by filters, these are the chemicals that actually provide the UV protection for you. And a lot of these have like shorter acronyms that you'll see. BMDBM, which is a methoxybenzoyl methane benzophenone. Then there's BZ, which is benzophenone. Then MDC, which is a benzylidine camphor, so some sort of a camphor type oil. OMC, which is a ethyl hexyl I'm like meth. They're on meth. Methoxycinnamate. And then there's OCT, which is an octyl methoxycinnamate. And BEMT, which is and all of these share very, very common segments, because this one has bis-ethylhexyloxyphenol. So there's the ethyl, the hexyl, the phenol, a camphor, and then it says, then the last one is any component that includes the term benzene. Benzene.
And then, of course, the ingredient is the OMG, because that's a lot of stuff to remember. So subscribe to Dan and get the man.
Yes. I will try to remember to take the page, the scene that I built in version 2, and I'll post that up there in next week. I'll show that for those who are interested in checking those out, you can save them. So you're thinking, okay, go ahead.
No, well, I was saying, aren't those the key ingredients in pretty much all sunscreens?
Most of your most common, current, popular ones, you're going to find one or more, if not all, of those very components. Now, I as I was reading this, I thought, okay, so what do I do? How do I find something that is actually good? What if all of them have this, or most of them have this? What are some examples of good ones? Well, fortunately, they did include mentions of a couple. Out of France, there is a new, and again, the technology is the study drove a lot of technology. Out of France, they have a sunscreen called Evoa, EVOA. I wonder if I can find that here. Check Bing. Oh, interestingly, speaking of Bing, evidently Bing is still around in Robocop time, because that's what they used heavily for searches. I was like, look at that, they're using Bing. I was like, awesome.
Okay, cool. So
I was like, cool.
That's a sign it's going to be around for a while, guys.
At least in myth.
At least in myth.
I do prefer Bing, but because I don't support Google in any way unless I absolutely have to. All right, so let's see if we can find this Evoa. That sounds like something like somebody from New York is, hey, Evoa, what are you doing, Evoa?
I was about to say, yeah, I know where you're going with that one.
All right, let's see. That's eye vitamin.
Oh. Ever what, sunscreen maybe?
Let's try that. That's a good idea. It's from France. You're thinking of the cone heads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sunblock.
Evoa, sunscreen that respects the environment.
There you go. And then, of course, look at what...
Of course. They're going to sell it. But I don't see a price. Well, that's what I guess what it looks like. So that's one of them. And then out of the good old UK, our folks across the pond, they've got something London-based Ethic, A-E-T-H-I-C, or Ethic, has patented a novel composition called Ethic Sauvier. And it's available for purchase at www.aethic.com. So let's try that out, shall we? Let's see what that looks like. Bring up a screen region here. Hello, find it. There we go. Sauvier. By Sauvier, here now. Free packing and postage worldwide. Oh, cool. They even are talking about it.
Cool.
So for those who are curious, who've never seen it, here is what bleaching looks like. Here's what happens when coral is affected by this stuff. Goes from whatever the algae color that is normally coloring it to bleached. And here's another example of the exact same coral before and after bleaching. You see, this one isn't completely bleached out, but it's almost there.
Mm-hmm.
And here's and I see a lot of this. I really do. When we go places, I see a lot of it. See, that's in the back is what you see as the normal color for this particular coral. And
now is it how is it? I mean, is that just because somebody maybe swam by it, or is it just in the water and it made contact with it? I mean, how does that?
Well, thing is,
or are they testing this?
Well, yes, they did. They did studies in tropical reefs all over the world, different places, so they could see if is it more prevalent. Does this kind of effect happen more dramatically in Indonesian waters versus Caribbean waters versus Australian waters, and there was no difference.
Oh, okay.
Same effect everywhere. So it doesn't matter the coral species. But and then it probably bears clarifying that sunscreen isn't the only thing that causes the bleaching. The bleaching is caused by the algae dying or being otherwise expelled or ejected from the coral tissue. Something makes it no longer compatible. It's kind of like an ant becomes affected by antibodies, and it's kind of like when you get a foreign body and your white blood cells fight against it.
Right.
Well, a number of things can cause the bleaching. Anything that would create a disagreeable symbiosis between the algae and the coral. But it's just, they've discovered that among those now is also sunscreen, and it's dramatic because it's immediate. You'll see the effects within 48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and if I had time, I was going to try to find a YouTube video that maybe showed like a time lapse of the effect, because I know they exist out there. So those are the kind of that is so. So two companies, if you are going to use sunscreen, those are two companies you could look into. Go to ethic, how you pronounce it, .com, and look at their Sauvier, or go to look up the Evoa. Everyone wants to be loved. So, yeah, that was kind of surprising. Let's see. Speaking of Dan and statistics, a very, very common, actually the most common out of air situation caused by improperly or not either not fully opened or not opened valves. Not from actually breathing out your air. In other words, what's happening is people are not opening their tank valve all the way. And then they get down at depth, and it can't, the first stage, the regulator, can't pass air to the second stage, which is what's in your mouth, can't pass it fast enough because the tank valve is not open fully.
So aren't we trained? Okay, well, you open it full, and then maybe you go like a.
Well, and that is true, and that is what we're doing. But they're saying with modern valves, tank valves, no longer necessary. The materials involved in the manufacture of current tank valves no longer suffer from the lock open kind of situation, which is what drove that at first. But their study showed that a huge percentage of us still do that. Now, whenever that's how I was taught.
Right.
And so that's how I teach it. But now I'm not going to teach that because I have all my equipment's more modern anyway.
Right.
So I know I don't suffer from that. The issue that older tank valves have.
This is more for like the rolling era, right?
Yes.
Okay, rolling still needs to turn back the valve. All right, got it. Got it.
So basically, when you open the valve, you need to open it all the way. Don't choke again. You need to open it all the way. And of course, what their study was showing is that people were doing a half turn back. I'm like, I never did that. I just was showing them to back it off just enough that it really had no. It really, if you did it the way I showed people, this is not an issue.
Right.
But what people were doing was like open it all the way and then coming way back.
No,
doing a half turn.
No, you're just got to do just a small little.
Yeah, but now you don't even have to, unless you've got an older tank valve. Right. So if you pick up something at like a flea market,
yeah,
which we know people.
Yeah, we know people, but you know what? Even at that, just and if you buy a tank, we're not trying to say don't do it, but definitely you're gonna have it inspected. And if you have it inspected, just go ahead and just recommend whoever's gonna inspect it to just go ahead and put a new valve in it to begin with. Yeah. Just to eliminate any problems with an older valve because you don't know the condition of it anyway.
Right. So generally, newer stuff you don't need to do. You just open it up all the way. But evidently, also, a high percentage of those are from those who simply did not open it. Which that tells me that they're not doing their proper safety checks, their pre-dive safety checks the way they should be doing.
Yep.
Which we include that, BWRAF. You go through checking your BC, you check your weights, make sure they're in place. You check your releases, make sure that they're all working correctly. You make sure your air is on, and then you do your final check and with your buddy. Yeah. So if you're going through that religiously, then it's hard to get to the A point.
Exactly.
And not have your air all the way on.
Rob and I have been known each other for a long time, and we've been diving for a long time. And even now, we still, even though we know each other's
setup,
pretty much thoughts, even going into the water, it's scary, funny, but we do that. Okay, weights in, air on. Okay, got this. Everything is in place. Yep. Latches on good. Everything looks great. How do you feel? Feel great. Let's go. Yeah. And we drop down, but it's we practice it, and practice is always best.
Yes, absolutely. And so it was shocking to me to see that such a high percentage of people don't check their air. Now, it's been my experience in diving, going to dive locations in the Caribbean and Florida, etc., where if you have a dive operation that is kind of valet diving, where they put your gear together for you, They switch tanks for you between dives, that kind of stuff. That's all well and good, but I've seen it happen. Don't rely on them to do it for you. Check your own gear. After they've let them do their thing, at least they'll be hefting the big tanks and everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're done and they walk away, before you're getting up out of your seat, strapped in and getting ready to jump in the water, do that check yourself.
Yeah.
Especially the air. I've shared this story before, and I never get tired of sharing it because it's important to understand that ultimately you're responsible for your own gear. Is I and the instructor who got me all into this, he's passed away, but he and I were on a 2-tank dive with all very experienced divers, and we finished one dive. It was great. Everybody had a great time. And we're sitting on the boat going to the next location. It was about a 30-minute ride because it was halfway around the island. And across from us on the boat was a couple who were both dive master qualified. So tons of experience, a lot of education, but they were paying attention to the scenery. They were looking at what's on the shore and looking at different things, and they were just enjoying the fact that the captain and his crew were taking care of everything. They swapped the BCs and rigs from the old tank to the new tank, and I was watching their process. And the person who was helping them with their gear, he turned on, after swapping, he turned on the tanks and looked at the gauge because he wanted to make sure, and it was good practice, he wanted to make sure that the tank he swapped it to wasn't accidentally a used tank, that it actually had close to 3,000, if not 3,000 psi in there.
I pay for 3,000.
That's right. I pay for 3,000. I want 3,000. So he checked the gauge and it read, I think 29, something like that. And then he turned the valves off because we still had a ways to go, because they did that like right off the bat as soon as we were headed underway. They turned the air back off as a safety feature so that if something happened, that it wasn't just going to immediately expel air, that it's closed off if something fell off. Well, we get to the site and turns the motor off. We get the pre-dive briefing on the area. Well, here's the coral reefs that you're going to have, and here we're going to look over here. It's maximum of 40 feet, blah, blah, blah. Everybody paying close attention to that. All right, that's the briefing. Unless anybody has any questions, everybody get your gear on, jump in the water. So we're suiting up, and I'm watching them suit up, and they both looked at their gauges, and then they both took a breath of air off of their regulators. And then they were getting ready to jump in the water. And I said, whoa, wait. Your air is not on. Because I watched their process. They didn't turn the air on. They just checked the gauge, which at the point that the crewman had turned the air off was fully charged. So you have all the air in your hoses.
That's right.
And so when they checked, they were verifying that they had quote unquote full air. Well, the system was charged to 2,900 psi. But they didn't look at the gauge while they're taking that first breath. Because anybody who's been through the course knows when we do the air depletion, I have you look at your gauge so you can see what happens as you're breathing the air when the tank valve is turned off. You see every breath dramatically drop the air pressure on your gauge because you're only breathing the air that's charged in your hoses, in your system. And so they didn't do that. They just looked at their gauge, set the gauge down, then took a breath and like getting ready to jump in the water. They would have found very quickly that they were both out of air. So neither of them could have been a buddy to the other.
Right.
So I cannot stress enough that you check your gear regardless of how much you trust the people that are helping you out. Because their process is not necessarily your process.
Yeah.
Another thing I was reading up on is, and I've kind of experienced a little bit of this before, but I've known other people who really have an issue with this, and it's what's called TMJ, or Temporomandibular Joint Dysfunction. And basically, it's the soreness that you can get right where your jawbone moves. The jaw is unique in that it moves multiple ways. It has the rocking motion, like when you're talking or eating, but then also has a sliding motion. So when you can slide your jaw forward or backward. In basic, and we use that as we use that capability to also equalize.
Yeah.
You can rock your jaw or yawn. Your jaw is very flexible considering its function. It can go left to right. It can go forward and backward. It can go up and down. That is a pretty amazing design.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in order for it to do that, you have cartilage, you have discs in there, not unlike the kind of stuff that's going on with your spine. Because you have cartilage in there, you have discs that help buffer the ability of the bones coming together. Mm-hmm. Same kind of thing there. But when that gets irritated, if the discs get worn or damaged, if the cartilage gets damaged, just like with your spine, it can be very painful. You can find that opening your mouth too wide can be painful. Closing your mouth can become painful. You may feel some cracking or popping. Every once in a while, I'll experience that.
Yeah, so do I.
And this is actually a condition that typically sets in people from 20 to 40 years old. That's when it starts to manifest. Probably because you've pretty much grown, all of your features are set at that point, and now you're in the wearing down stage. Everything is starting to wear. But what we typically will find is the pain or the limited movement we share. People will express that my jaw is really hurting.
Yeah.
After diving, or I have a hard time diving because I always get my jaw gets tired.
Fatigue,
yeah. So it's not the scuba diving that creates the problem. It's something that you basically, based on how you are put together, it's individual. You may have a predisposition to that wearing down, and the scuba diving in that what the studies found, if you're using a regulator with a mouthpiece that is not properly fitted,
mm-hmm.
can make that problem worse. It can exacerbate the problem. So usually what you see happening is things like people biting down too hard because the mouthpiece just doesn't fit right. Mm-hmm. So that is when you're biting down harder, or they're nervous or cold, you're biting down harder, you're really creating a lot more friction with the disc and stressing the cartilage there. Mm-hmm. And so you can experience not only those kind of symptoms, but also difficulty in equalizing, because you end up swelling up. You swell the muscle and the tissue and the cartilage there. It's kind of like getting carpal tunnel syndrome. Mm-hmm. You swell that up, and then suddenly you're creating pressure against your eustachian tubes, which run right behind all of that. Okay, so if you're having difficulty equalizing, and you're also experiencing jaw fatigue or soreness or inability or difficulty opening or closing your mouth, that's TMJ as opposed to TMI.
TMJ. And the Legend regulator, the one that the Aqualung, mm-hmm. actually, when you buy any Aqualung regulator, it comes with your standard mouthpiece.
Yeah.
But it's actually designed kind of weird. It's different than like your Scuba Pro mouthpieces that have these cushions in the back so that your molars can bite down on them and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, what was the difference? And I did this actually research some time back.
Right.
And the mouthpiece for the Aqualung regulators actually is kind of cut on the top so that when it rests, it's kind of shaped so that it sits up on your upper palate.
Yeah.
Okay, and it so that your front teeth are kind of going through it, so you don't have the jaw fatigue, so you can kind of relax your lower jaw, so it doesn't have that. Well, I remember the first regulator that I got, I never used it. I changed out the mouthpiece and I got a different one, and I kind of started experiencing jaw fatigue for the first time. And Roland actually was the one who told me, hey, you may want to switch your mouthpiece to get one that's a little bit fitted. He goes, "Where's the original one that came?" And I was like, "Well, I took it off." He goes, "You should put it back on." So I went ahead and put it back on, and we did a dive, you and I noticed it immediately that it was gone. You know, I didn't have that. And I know where you're going with this because that's where.
Because as a matter of fact, and I've promoted this particular product, and they talk about it in the article. If you start experiencing an exacerbation or irritation of the temporomandibular joint as a result of diving, try different mouthpieces. One of the ones they recommend is one of the ones that I recommend. Tara and I both use it, and it's the C-Cure custom mouthpiece. I'll switch to the screen region here. C-Cure. And, the neat thing is they come in multiple colors, and which is, back when we bought ours, they were just in the clear, the semi-clear one. And they're designed, they make them in different sizes because different regulators have different size openings for you to attach this to. But the beauty of these are that they're made out of the same material that your sports mouthpieces are, mouth guards. So you dip them in boiling water, and then you bite into them, and they conform to your dental work. So because they fit your teeth, you do not have to bite hard at all. You barely have to bite into it because literally it fits your dental work. And the beauty is, if you get some dental work done, let's say you get braces or something like that, and it changes the shape of your teeth, or you have fillings or whatever changes in your mouth, you can simply dip this back in it and reshape it. Just bite into it again. I tell you, I never ever experience jaw fatigue while diving with these. So it's well worth it if the mouthpiece that comes with your unit, with your regulator, doesn't work for you, if it's not comfortable. I definitely recommend switching to the C-Cure. They're well worth it. And as you saw, they come in different colors too. So if you're really a fashionista, a diving fashionista, you can take advantage of that and buy one of the ones that has lots of color to it.
And we do know some fashionistas.
Yes, we do. Yeah. My wife is that. Which, speaking of that, you may have noticed that Tara's not here.
Yeah, I noticed that. I saw both vehicles out.
Yes. Today, as a matter of fact, we were finishing up set building for our show that comes. It's just come right up. We only got a week left. And so Tara was, of course, drove over with me helping with that. But she and one of the other castmates had tickets to go see Kristen Chenoweth, who is a famous. She does a lot of acting, but she's also very. I mean, you've seen her on like different TV shows. She's a little petite blonde, but she is a very accomplished Broadway actress.
Oh, okay.
And as a matter of fact, she was in, among other things, she was in Wicked, which is the backstory of the Wizard of Oz. It's about the two witches, the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda. She was in that, but she's got her own little concert where she does, different Broadway tunes, stuff like that. And so she's at the Majestic in San Antonio this weekend. Okay. So Tara and her good friend Catherine they left from the theater to go see that. So she is enjoying the show even now. I've asked her to send. In fact, I didn't see if she was able to. Nope, she didn't send me. I want her to send me pictures of the concert, but she hasn't done that yet. So I'm sure she's having a great time. Yeah. And we're actually, speaking of Wicked, we are actually going to see that March 15th.
Oh, okay.
So obviously we won't have a show that weekend. But we've got tickets for that. And when she got to the theater, she texted me and said, "Hey, what seats are our tickets?" And so I texted her, actually took a snapshot, sent that to her of the tickets. And she said, "Our seats are awesome."
So, you're gonna have good seats.
Yeah. Huh? So we're gonna have a good time.
Speaking of that, I was kind of catching on that Motley Crue, the heavy metal band.
Yeah.
They are gonna be doing their final tour because they're breaking up.
For real?
For real, yeah. The actual founder and the bass player, Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue, has gone out and said this is going to be our final one. We will not perform, and he had everybody. And I actually read this on a good site, a reliable site.
Yeah.
That all of the band members have actually signed disclosure agreements that they cannot or will not perform under the name of Motley Crue anymore. So
because a number of bands have kind of regrouped
under the same name. Well, this is it. The guitar player goes, Mick Mars. Apparently, he's suffering from some kind of condition that kind of fuses his spinal cord together.
Oh yeah.
So it's very painful for him to move around, and that's been his condition. So he went from looking really healthy to like a really frail person lately. And that's because of his condition. It's only getting worse. So they made the agreement that this is it because he's not going to be able to tour anymore. He's deteriorating really bad.
Right.
And they don't want to replace him.
Yeah.
Obviously, to continue. So they agreed that they're just going to call it quits. Well, they're going to be going on tour to support their last album or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see them, for the last time before they go. Well, the tickets are extremely
really?
Yeah, for the nosebleed seats, which is way up there, they're going for about $113.
That's kind of high for being the nosebleed.
Yeah, and I know, and I was like,
I would expect that for the floor all the way back. That's what I would expect that for.
The floor all the way back is $250.
What?
Yeah, anywhere from the front to the middle, like close to the stage area, $400. Now there are still tickets available for the Houston and the Dallas show because they're not coming to San Antonio, which I thought was kind of
that shocks me.
Yeah, and it was expensive, and then I was like, kind of doing that, and I saw this little blog like saying, "Man, I got to get tickets and all." I was reading what they were posting, and I actually made a comment on that. I saw them back in 1983 in San Antonio. And I only paid $15 to see them.
Amazing.
And I was right up on the stage. I mean.
Now, who was it that is or is going to be playing in Eagle Pass? Or maybe they just did? Casey and the Sunshine Band and...
Oh, Loverboy.
Loverboy.
Yeah.
Did that just happen or is that...
It's actually, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to play at the casino.
I'm so shocked.
Yeah.
Wow.
I still remember when I saw the outfield and it was supposed to be Wang
Civic
Chung
Center.
at the Civic Center.
I love that. That was a great concert.
It was June the 7th. It was my birthday. I actually had just quit.
I was there.
I was there too. It was
great time.
It was empty, but it was the music.
But
was
they
awesome.
were awesome.
They
still
had
it.
Yeah,
they still had it. All right, so that's all the stuff I have. Let me hit a little bit of administrivia here. All right. Because I'm working on the show and we have dress rehearsal this weekend or this week, we will not have Dive Club meeting this month, but we'll back on in the swing of things for 20 March at 7 p.m. at Rudy's Restaurant. I'd love to see you there. Dive classes we have scheduled for this year: April 24th through the 27th, May 22nd through the 25th, June 26th through the 29th, July 24th through the 27th. August 28th through the 31st, and September 25th through the 29th.
Wrapping up the end of the year.
Yep. You can follow us on our website, delriodiveclub.com, or check us out on Facebook. Just look for Del Rio Dive Club. Or send us messages via Skype at TGWD. And if you'd like to keep in touch with Scuba Bob here, you can follow him on the Twitter at RSGarza435 or send him an email.
Please send me
yes, yes. He's got multiple emails.
I do. And I read all my own emails.
That's right. No third party for him.
No third party.
RSGarza821 at Yahoo.
That's right.
.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at RobertCFP or send me an email at robert.wade@cetifox.net. Let's see. Also, just reminding you, those of you in the Del Rio area, if you have a little bit of time that you can spare, I really, really would love to see you volunteering out at A Pet's Wish. we help them out every Monday evening, and they've really done a number of great improvements there. Anybody who's been in there even a month ago will be really surprised to see how nicely things. A lot of people have donated a lot of materials, a lot of money to help them improve the setup there.
Right.
It's much more organized, even more protective of the animals there. It's just a great setup, and it's getting better every day. Some great folks with a great heart for the poor, neglected, abused animals that are often just dumped there.
Yeah.
And like I said, we got one of our little ones from there and just love her to death. But they really could use some help, even if it's just a couple hours on the weekend, or if you can help with the feedings in the morning or in the evening. It just really makes it lighter work. If you have multiple people spread out, it'd be great to have so many people that you only had to do something morning or an afternoon once every couple of weeks. Yeah. That way it's not really taxing on you, but it really does. It's a really great benefit. And also, if you happen to have the wherewithal to be a foster parent to some of these animals, because sometimes they get so many in there that they can't take them all. Mm-hmm. And it's horrible when they have to reject one because they don't want to, but they've only got so much resources, so much space. And so sometimes if they can find somebody who's available and willing to foster an animal till they can, they often do the little adoptions. Yeah. And so if they clear out some more room, then they can take the foster back, or you might find that you just fall in love with them and want to adopt them.
Yeah. I saw there was a beagle just recently.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
One of my friends went ahead and contacted Pets Wish and said, Pets Wish and said, hey, I'll go ahead and foster it, but somebody had already
spoken for it.
Yeah, spoken for it. Yeah. And apparently, as of right now, they still have not found the owner of that dog.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I believe that my wife said that she saw. It was found around my neighborhood area, around by where I live, and she says she swears that she saw somebody walking that dog. Wow. A girl walking that dog earlier, I guess, a few weeks or something prior to that. Yeah. But I find it odd that nobody's claimed them,
and they're always posting on Facebook.
Yes,
I mean,
always.
They always post on Facebook.
So my wife was thinking about going door to door to see if she can locate the owner. Yeah, are you missing it? Do you want it? Yeah. If not, let me know. I'll go get it.
Yeah, really.
Because
we were talking about before the show started that you guys.
Yeah, we got a miniature schnauzer recently added to our
family.
Our family. Cute little guy, 6 weeks old. Gonna go get his first shots and everything. And it's a big debate right now about getting its tail docked, but it's got to get docked, And I understand, it looks cute, wagging and stuff. But something, it just isn't gonna go with the look of the schnauzer, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and get that done. And sorry, but the tail's gonna go. So don't worry, they put it to sleep. So I'm sure
That's not the way you want to say that.
I'm sure
they knock him out.
They knock him out, and they're not gonna go.
Put to sleep sounds too final.
Too final. That's the final act. I'm sorry, they're gonna be knocked out for the procedure, and they will not feel anything. So we'll see how that goes in the next coming weeks. Yep. I don't know. I definitely ain't gonna get the thing that clawed.
Need text me some pictures, man.
Yeah, definitely. So, but he looks right now, since he's so furry. He looks like a
being such a tiny thing. Right now.
He looks like an Ewok. And I'm not joking. He really looks like an Ewok. Real friendly fellow, but what I really like about him is he's already starting. He's only 6 weeks old, and he's really been really well with the bathroom issue.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so he's having little accidents here and there, but since we're feeding him, we let him out right away.
There you go.
He goes outside to go to the bathroom, and then he comes back in. He's actually gotten to the point where he's holding the number 2 and waiting till we take him outside, which is
awesome.
But if sometimes he just can't wait, and he just.
Yeah, the challenge we've been having with Vala is that she's still puppy. She gets excited and will just pee. So you have to make sure that we're not, we take a cue from Cesar Milan, the dog whisperer, to not get all vocally, oh, this is exciting, we're home. Yeah. Don't do that, because that's what gets them all spun up.
Yeah.
And if they haven't really gotten control of their bladder yet.
Yeah, it just comes out.
They come out. So we're just kind of almost ignore them.
Oh, okay.
Like, we just walk them outside. Then they go out there and there's the jumping up and down. And then suddenly everybody stops and they do their thing. And then they go jumping around.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
No, he's pretty good, except we have a calico cat, Callie, which was a rescue. Or it was actually
How they get along?
They don't.
Ooh.
The thing is, the cat, our calico cat, is actually a wild cat that was captured, that was injured, that was just showed up at our house when it was small. So Sandy started feeding it, and it stayed at the house. But it had its tail was extremely caught up, and it was bad. It was rotting away. You could smell it. So a friend of ours, who at the time was associated with the Friends of Del Rio Animals, lent me a cage. We captured it. We took it to the vet, and they went ahead and paid for everything. And then I got a call saying, "Hey, come pick up your cat." I'm like, I don't own a cat.
Yeah.
They're like, well, the thing is, it's already been fixed. It's had its shots. And everything. The Friends of Del Rio Animals covered the whole expense, but we can't let it go, because if we let it go, we're gonna have to call the pound, and they have an automatic, put to sleep. Yeah. So I went and picked it up and released it there at the house, and it hasn't gone anywhere. It stayed there. So now we call it Callie. It's a calico cat, so it's a female cat. But she is so cool. But with the little friendly, Boomer, we named him Boomer.
Yeah.
I wanted Toby, but I lost the
fight.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So anyway, Boomer actually goes out to use the bathroom, and the cat jumps up on these little containers that I have, and he just there looking. But when he gets close, it starts to hiss at it. It hasn't clawed him yet, thank God, because I'll move it away. But the cat, Callie, just kind of stays there looking at it, and it's not friendly. But I actually do have pictures of Callie when her tail was all messed up. I was going through some old CDs of video pictures that I did from backups, and I actually came across. So I'll bring those as well, so you can kind of see the before and after.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so
all right. Well, fun with animals. Well,
absolutely.
Yes, that's cool. Well, listen, we always have fun doing this, and would like to see more folks jump into the chat room. I see somebody, Texas Divers, sitting out there, but hasn't shared anything with us, so I don't know who that is, but oh well.
Well, we appreciate you
we
catching
appreciate
the show.
That's right. If you're a lurker, that's okay. And we've given you ways to contact us. We always love your ideas, suggestions. We'll talk about just about anything. This was, this was kind of spread all over the gamut this week. We'll see what happens next week, because that's what's exciting. I mean, I come up with an agenda, and we kind of will spring off into different things from there if it happens. But we love doing this. We have a good time, and hopefully you do too. Especially if you're watching on YouTube afterward, which I've talked to several people who do, and that's cool.
Yeah,
which is, I guess, probably 8:00 on Saturday night. It's not an optimum time for them to follow stuff like that. But if you're in the Del Rio area this next weekend, so wait a minute, we won't have a show next weekend.
You're going to be doing your show.
I'll be doing my show.
Yeah.
If you're in the Del Rio area and you've got an inkling to enjoy some fine community theater, some great music, some very talented people, I encourage you to stop by the Paul Pogue Theater. Doors open at 7:30. The show starts at 8:00 on Friday and Saturday night, and then for the last weekend, actually the last 2 weekends in February. Love to see you out there. A lot of talented people. I'll be in it. My wife will be in it. Bill Culpepper is going to be in it.
Culpepper.
And, of course, his wife, Gloria.
Yeah.
A number of very talented folks. This is a power-packed show as far as very strong performers. Yeah. It's a musical review, songs from a number of different musicals. If you follow any of them at all, you'll recognize some of the songs. And you may even recognize songs and not realize they're in a musical. As a matter of fact, Tara's in a trio where they're doing one of the songs from the Broadway show Mamma Mia, which was made into a movie written by Bjorn and Benny from ABBA. Yeah. And, of course, it features all songs from the group ABBA. And so they'll be doing one of the numbers from there. Cool costumes. Ben Graff and I are doing a couple of songs from the show Into the Woods. And we're both the princes.
Okay, yeah, that was an interesting video when you showed it last time.
So we're playing.
That's awesome.
They're doing songs for that. So matter of fact, we were just getting fitted for the costumes. So I got the Prince Charming.
You got the Prince Charming. I definitely gonna have to catch that show for sure.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So so that again, doors open 7:30 on Friday and Saturday, and the show starts at 8:00. Very fast paced show. Before you know, it'll be done. And lots of fun, a lot of great performers. Just goes to show you that you can't get away with saying there's nothing to do in Del Rio, because there really is. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. So love to see you there. So anyway, so I guess it'll be 3 weeks from now.
3 weeks.
Yeah, because of the show this weekend and the following weekend. So so you got some more time off.
Okay, I'll be able to recoup from my allergies.
And check out the movies and stuff. So
definitely. So we'll have some movie reviews, and of course, we'll talk about more diving.
That's right. That's right. I need to probably put together some best of bits so we can put those on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's all we have, and again, almost 2 hours for the show.
Love it.
I need to go do some grocery shopping, so I gotta get on out.
I got to skedaddle.
Yeah. All right, so we love having you here, and we will see you next time in another exciting episode of
Two Guys Who Dive.
See ya.